Hello, and after such a long hiatus, welcome back to the channel. It's been an incredibly sad time for us in the UK recently because of course we've lost our Queen Elizabeth. So rather than the showcase I was planning, which I'll do next week, I decided we'd take a look at all the Rolls-Royces in the game and work out which one is best for you. Now, I'm pretty sure that Her Majesty did not play GTA, but I do know she was a very keen driver, so I'm sure she'd be very happy that we're going to take all these cars and we're going to give them a damn good thrashing. To start, we have the Enus Stafford, costs about 1.3 million, and I've done mine up to look like Queen Elizabeth's Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud 3, which she used in Scotland in the late 60s. Next, the Enus Super Diamond, which is a pretty cheap car, only £250,000, and I've done mine up to look like Mansory's version of the Phantom, and more about that later. I assume the Super Diamond refers to the Crown Jewels, and this car is the Enus Windsor, which obviously refers to Windsor Castle. It's based on the Rolls-Royce Wraith coupe. You can either buy the car for $845,000 or it is included in the Criminal Enterprise starter pack. The fourth car is a bespoke conversion of the Rolls-Royce Ghost to make a four-door convertible, a rather unusual looking car. We'll talk more about that again later. It costs $900,000. And finally we have the Enus Jubilee, named of course after Queen Elizabeth's recent Diamond Jubilee. And it's based on the Rolls-Royce Cullinan. We'll talk about the specific example when we drive it. A bit over 1.65 million, but you can save 400,000 by doing 20 security contracts and getting the trade price. So let's see how all these cars drive. So we'll start with the Stafford, the Silver Cloud. It is not a Silver Shadow, which is what it says in GTA Wiki. I think they've done a great job on this car. It looks remarkably like a Silver Cloud, especially given that this is one of the older cars in the game where they normally shied away from it. The biggest visual change, of course, is those rear wheels which have the spats over them, whereas the real car had open wheels. Anyway, it looks pretty black here, but I've painted it midnight blue because the Queen's car was midnight blue. There's almost no customisation available for the car, except for liveries. There's loads of liveries. You can even make it look a little bit like John Lennon's early Phantom, because it's got one of those psychedelic hand-painted jobs in there. As for driving it, well, it's a bit boring to be quite honest with you. It has slow acceleration, and even the cornering you might hope for a load of tail-out moments to help, but it doesn't do that. It's just fairly neutral through the corners. Anyway, we'll take it on the track later, because perhaps without the rain and the pedestrians and the NPCs, perhaps it will shine a little more there. But on the road, only really for the looks, to be honest with you. On to the Super Diamond, or the Phantom. Now, I've based mine, as I mentioned, on the Mansory version of the car. Mansory are a tuning firm, and they take all sorts of high-end cars and they modify them, especially in the looks department. Now, I'll be honest, I think a lot of their modifications are somewhat, well, let's say, over the top, and I don't really think they suit, in many cases, the cars that these modifications have been made on, but they are all bespoke. I have quite a few Mansory cars in my collection because the over-the-top nature of the mods often suits a GTA car collection quite well while staying within the real world. As for the car, it doesn't drive badly, you know. It's only a £250,000 car. It's got some decent acceleration. It corners pretty well, but you really feel the weight of the car. So it is easy to understeer off the pavement, and in fact this is the second clip for that reason, because the very first corner I did in the car I ploughed straight into the shops. Again, we'll head off soon and see how it performs on the track. Moving on now to the Windsor, or the Rolls-Royce Wraith. Now, I think they've done a great job on this car in the game. It looks absolutely superb. It's not a million miles off the original car. As I say, you may have got it free with that starter pack, in which case you really should be using it. Drives pretty well, seems quite neutral on the road. Again, you do feel the weight of the car, but not unduly so. I've done this one up as the Land Speed edition, which I believe Rolls-Royce did to help celebrate some of the land speed records, and it has this very distinctive black upper section and a very, very light coloured lower section. I forgot to mention, but the Super Diamond / Phantom has no customization at all, just the very basic things that you would expect. This car is almost the same. There's no customization apart from liveries, and to be honest, I think the liveries all look rubbish, but if you like them, at least there's a big selection to choose from. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. One just can't get the staff, you know. And yes, you may well look embarrassed at what you've just done. Anyway, we're going to move on now to the fourth car, which is the Newport Convertible Engineering Rolls-Royce Ghost 4-door convertible. I just managed to keep my breath while I said all that. Anyway, it is a convertible and it is raining, so we'll put the roof on first. So, Newport Convertible Engineering, well, they are a remarkable firm. You really should take a look at their website, which I'll try to remember to link below. They take a number of high-end vehicles and make drastic changes to the car, not like Mansory with some spoilers or some paint. Here we've got a 4-door sedan turned into a convertible, but they also do weirder things than that. You can have a Bentley Bentayga turned into a 6x6 with a flatbed on the back. You can have whatever you want, and obviously it's your choice of colours, etc., so I felt free with my colour and wheel choice on this car. If you've been watching it drive, you'll see it's all been tail out action, tail out everywhere. It's a long car, long wheelbase, it's heavy, and I have to say I find it enormous fun to drive through the town. It's actually more muscle car than a lot of the muscle cars to drive, and even on PC where you really don't get the same level of control as with the controller, it's still very easy to conduct massive drifts on the car. It isn't the fastest, but it really isn't the slowest, and it is a lot of fun, and based on the road driving I would certainly highly commend this vehicle. And brakes okay as well. On to our last vehicle then, the Jubilee or Rolls-Royce Cullinan. Now there's quite a few different versions of Cullinan you can buy, including the black badge, but there's only ever been made one black badge Capella, which this one is. And Rolls-Royce made this as an especially bright version of the car. Now I have to say I'm not really an SUV person anyway, and I really don't like the look of the Cullinan in real life. It just reminds me really of a old London taxi. In fact, it's not even as nice as the old London taxis. And I wasn't going to have one in game, and I never even bothered to drive the one that comes for free inside the agency. But when it came to making this video, I thought I had better buy one, and it was the same story. In fact, with the Stafford, I never had one of those till yesterday. And I was quite surprised. You know, it drives pretty well. It's 4-wheel drive, 2/3 to the back. Corners very stably, has good acceleration, it sounds decent. And when you make it this bright, it doesn't look quite so bad either. So yes, I was definitely a little surprised with this vehicle. I wanted it to lose, I'll be honest, I wanted it to lose this test, but we'll see how it does. I'm going to give everything a fair go. Well, moving on to the Stafford on the track. I'm afraid it's also pretty boring on the track. It's such slow acceleration that you don't need to brake for most of the corners because you haven't picked up enough speed by the time you even got to them. It is quite deflected by the bumps as well, which is always slightly unwelcome. And there really isn't a lot more to say. I mean, the lap took nearly 1¼ minutes, and whilst we're not directly comparing lap times on the cars as the be-all and end-all, because they're not that sort of car, you can appreciate that it's a slow lap. And just for reference, all the cars are stage 4 engine tune, and then the other performance parts have been left standard, so at least we have a level playing field there. I don't think we can wait till the end of the lap, to be honest. I can't keep playing this. I think we'll just move on to the next car. So on to the Super Diamond / Phantom. Well, this is a welcome change from the previous car because it's certainly quite a bit faster. However, it is a really heavy feeling car, so a little bit too fast into the corner and it will understeer. If you ease off a bit too much, it will very easily oversteer, and both the understeer and the oversteer sap the speed quite a little bit. It just feels so heavy. But there is a flip side to that, which is if you can get it just right, and none of this lap perhaps is just right, but it's the best lap I got, it does feel really good when you get it right. And the other nice thing is it rides the bumps well, so that does make it a pretty good car for all this sort of racing. Best lap was almost 1 minute and 9, so not terribly quick. We don't need to stay and watch the rest of the lap, but the summary would be a heavy car. Now, the Windsor or the Wraith is quite a step up from the Super Diamond. It is still a heavy car. You can still get some understeer, it doesn't happen quite so much. You can certainly get a little bit of easy oversteer like we just saw there, and again it saps the speed. But overall it feels quicker, it brakes well, it still rides the bumps nicely, and it knocked a significant chunk of time off the Super Diamond, coming in at just over 1 minute and 4 seconds. So in summary, this is not a bad car at all. So moving on to the Windsor Drop, or the Ghost Convertible. I'm just looking now at the notes I made after I did the lap, and in massive capital letters it says oversteer. And it's really the same as on the road. Obviously you're trying to manage the oversteer on the track. You want the fastest lap possible, and sideways is fun but not fast. So you need to manage the entry speed very, very carefully, always, to try and rein in that oversteer. Now again, you're probably never going to race this car. I'm not sure how much that advice matters, but it does at least serve to show the potential of the car. It did just under 1 minute 7, which is actually slower than it felt like it was going. I should also mention it is, again, like most of these cars, very good over the bumps. So let's now move to the last car, which is the Jubilee or Cullinan. I was pretty surprised when I drove this on the road, but on the track I was quite blown away by how much it's in a different league to the other cars that we've talked about. Best time was just a little bit under 1 minute and 2, so significantly faster. But it just feels so different. Although in reality it's a very heavy car, and presumably a little top heavy, it doesn't feel that in the game at all, and the way it corners, it's superb. Now it's not as exciting. I had a lot more fun taking the Windsor Drop around the track, managing that oversteer. This car is much more clinical in what it does. Very little in the way of understeer, very little in the way of oversteer. If you brake at the right time, it goes around the corner, and that really is the end of that. So it is the fastest. Is it the most fun? Not quite sure. But as the lap draws to a close, it's time now to go to the final reckoning, which is the best Rolls-Royce. And to my horror, as I don't like the look of it, the Cullinan, the Jubilee, has come in top place, mainly because it looks so much like its real-life counterpart. It drives well, it has decent customization, and even though I don't think it's good value for money, it still hit 14 points. Second place is a tie between the two Windsors. I gave the nod slightly to the Drop because I love the oversteer, but overall you can see how the points worked out, and they end up with 12 each. Fourth then to the Phantom or the Super Diamond. Now I was thinking when I started this that at only $250,000, therefore great value for money, it was going to come higher than this, but in fact it didn't drive as well as I thought it would, and despite the value for money, I mean there's no customization, so just 10 points. And then on to the Stafford, the Silver Cloud. Oh dear. I mean the car looks great, there's not really any customization unless you want a livery. It's very expensive. It's appalling value for money. I literally can't even think why you'd want to buy the car at all. Now for me it's great, it's something to help me remember Queen Elizabeth. I don't really think I need a GTA car to do that, but still it can at least serve that purpose, and it will be staying in my collection. I think it looks nice, but honestly I really wouldn't want to ever recommend this car to anybody unless you want it for the same reason I do. Well, there we go. This video has been a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, to be honest with you. I just thought I'd quickly compare the Rolls-Royces, but I wonder if you're still with me. Are you there? Well, if you are there, thank you ever so much for watching. And next week we'll try to get back to the normal length, and we're going to take a look at the SM722, the SLR McLaren Stirling Moss. And hope to see you then. Bye bye.